Hi guys, I'm Melissa. Welcome back to CloudMom.com. Great question from a YouTube viewer about the terrible twos. From Crystal Overbaugh on the terrible twos, what can you do? I thought this was such a great question. My joke about the terrible twos is that they become the terrible threes, and then the terrible fours, and then the terrible fives, and it just continues on until college. No, but in all seriousness, what does this term mean, the terrible twos, and what can you do if you feel like your child is going through the terrible twos? Well, from what I've learned, the terrible twos is actually a term that was coined in the 50s when there was so much pressure on families to live up to this picture-perfect image. Remember the Leave It to Beaver family? And mothers felt that when their children started, misbehaving and having tantrums and fits, that it was really something that had gone terribly wrong, thus the phrase, the terrible twos. Many experts will say, however, that it's not really an appropriate phrase because babies can have fits, and children, toddlers can have fits and tantrums, starting pretty young and extending way beyond the twos. But anyway, what is going on at the point when your baby is around 2 that makes them have these tantrums? Well, from what I've read and from what I've experienced, children become much more mobile. They're able to walk around more. They're able to physically move more. They're more involved with the world. So parents have got to begin setting more limits and saying no, 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 which can cause the children who are not yet able to articulate their feelings or use language to get very upset. Thus, the tantrums and the fits. Happened a lot to me. And I remember with my first child, when one day we were sitting around in the kitchen and all of a sudden he had this huge tantrum and he's lying on the floor and kicking and screaming. I was like, what are you acting? What are you doing? It just seemed surreal. I thought it was so bizarre, but it just can come upon you like that. So the question is, what do you do? Okay, couple things I've learned about what works and what doesn't work. Praise the good behavior. If your child is going through something that's frustrating and you say no and they react well, give them the positive feedback. Always a good idea, okay? Number 2, just wait out the fits. Don't try to control them, and certainly don't try to discipline your child in that moment. That has never worked for me. I still try to do it sometimes because I'm still in this with my baby, Marielle, who's 3 and still into terrible twos, but it just doesn't work. I feel like she's in another zone entirely, and to try to discipline her or get through to her or explain something to her is just not going to work. And what works the best is to let her just spin out and burn out, and then when she's calmed down, then I can try to have a conversation with her, okay? But part of that, and this is the really hard thing, I would try really hard not to give in. And believe me, I have been very, very tempted because when Marielle has her fits, which are often in public, it's really embarrassing. And I feel like people are looking at me and saying, what a bad mom. And I'm like, God, it's just so humiliating. People think what's wrong with that child? What's wrong with that mom? It's really horrible. But if she's having a fit because I won't give her the 10th cracker or the 4th cookie, I feel like giving in is exactly the wrong thing because it's telling her that the next time she doesn't get what she wants, she should have a tantrum because it's effective. So I really try not to give in, just to kind of swallow my pride, let her do her thing. It's she's like a little storm going, blah, 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 let her burn out, and then quietly talk to her. And it has been getting better. I would say the last 6 months have definitely been getting better, and the less I react, the better it is. Because often, too, kids are looking for you to react and get angry. That's another form of attention I've seen with my kids that they can be searching out. So anyway, those are my thoughts and advice on temper tantrums. I have a couple other shows on how to deal with tantrums at home and in public. So please check those out. I would really appreciate other moms and dads weighing in with what has worked for them. This is a really, really difficult thing to go through, and I need the tips myself. So please weigh in if you've got some advice. And thank you so, so much for watching Cloud Mom.